Hey guys, Richard Ryden's Room here doing my latest reviews. This it's been a while since I've done any because I've thought I'd do all three in one go. So it's the Bounty Hunter Wars Trilogy. I actually picked these up in 2023. The plan was to read my next load of Bantamir Star Wars books after finishing Fate of the Jedi. I wanted to go back to the ones I missed well before Timeline Orders, all the Tales of books, but well, I bought those in 2024 and realised I've had these for longer, so I thought it was time to finally get them read. And yeah, the Tales of looks good. Tales of Bounty Hunters, New Republic, etc. But they're like multiple stories in one. I wanted to read more traditional novels first, to be honest. And same with the Tales of books. I've actually got plans to split them with the Crystal Star, see if it's as bad as one says it is. And then Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor, because save the better one for later. And then it's just the Callista Trilogy, the book, The New Rebellion, and the Black Fleet Crisis Trilogy. So yeah, I'm pretty much almost done with the Bantamir books. I've still got the Han and Lando adventures to read. Not the Han Solo trilogy, just the Han Solo adventures. I hear the trilogy, the Crispin one, is much better, but I've got them both in a pretty cool set together. Got the awful Legend strip, but they are brand new, so it's fine. And yeah, so on to it then. So all three books in one. I've completely failed to sell them on eBay. Well, listed this one on its own, which World of Books won't take for some reason. So I was going to list books and I thought, I'll list them all together. So finished book 3 on the weekend, and then one of my friends from work said he'd give him a borrow because he's a Star Wars fan, particularly a Bosk, the Bounty Hunter fan. Big fan of him in Battlefront 2, which I didn't realise they let you play as the Bounty Hunters from Empire, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it's more than just Bosk and Boba Fett. But yeah, if I better get these done so I can actually give him the books, suppose so, and then I'll sell them after because they're not that great, these stories. So on to it. So my usual rambling, or I kind of just throw all my ideas together. So I'm guessing the first question is, this book, about Mandalorian armor, as in the thing that keeps Boba Fett alive inside the Sarlacc, was published in 1998. And of course, this shows Boba Fett escaping from the Sarlacc, something that would basically be copied, albeit Boba Fett confusingly going into the Sarlacc to find his armor. He escapes with the armor in the TV show. But yeah, so this is, I honestly don't know if they did this first. I suppose they could be in a comic. I honestly don't know if something as key to the future of the EU, I think not key, but Boba Fett shows up enough to be important, was written for this, or if the idea was there and it appeared, or it was in the comics. And honestly, I've no idea, but everything I know of, let's say this is the first time. So yeah, Boba Fett escapes from the Sarlacc and ends up meeting up with these two people, Dengar and Neela. So you've got two timelines. You've got that event, which is during events of Return of the Jedi, and then it flashes back to after A New Hope. So just getting a better view. Yeah, so you're going back between the two settings. So basically in book 3 it's like, let me tell you the rest of the story, and it jumps back to it. So the main plots is during A New Hope, there's the Bounty Hunters Guild and Prince Shizor. Everyone remembers him from Shadows of the Empire, the one who basically pushes, that spoiler for that now before I go too far, he pushes Darth Vader too far and gets himself killed. Darth Vader gives him the option of surrender into my custody in 2 minutes, as he goes out saying you're going to be killed, or refuse and pay. He refuses, and Darth Vader has the ship blown up, his skyhook blown up. I just love the Darth Vader's thoughts. Goodbye, Shizor, and good riddance. So yeah, Shizor basically got a plan to destroy the Bounty Hunters Guild and use the bounty hunters that survive it to take out the Rebellion, because Rebellion are doing good work against the Empire, and the Empire failing using their usual stormtroopers. So she's like, let's get bounty hunters, people that would think differently, and that's kind of his work. So you have Boba Fett teaming up with Bosk, of course, the only bounty hunter in Empire Strikes Back who got what you would pass for dialogue in the deaths at the Star Destroyer bridge bit, and Darth Vader's promising a massive reward for whoever finds the Falcon, and it really introduces Boba Fett, minus him randomly being inserted into Jabba's base, outside Jabba's base rather, on Tatooine. For the special editions onwards, no idea why they did that. Boba Fett doesn't appear everywhere all the time. So yeah, you've got Boba Fett basically working with Bosk after the Bounty Hunter Guild basically gets destroyed. Bosk's dad is in charge. Bosk, like all Trandoshan's, kills his dad, eats his body, or enough of it to leave some as a trophy. And him and Boba Fett have to be working together, backstabbing each other, and basically not getting along very well and wanting to kill each other. Basically, that part of the story ends with Boba Fett basically getting what he wants, and Bosk ending a rich guy with loads of credits, so he doesn't care that Boba ends up with the Slave One ship by the end. After this is after post Turn the Jedi though. Yeah, so you get them journeying with each other, backstabbing each other, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Boba is with the two other characters from this, Dengar and Neela. So Neela is one of the many women in Jabba's palace, although this one wasn't killed. It turns out Boba Fett was keeping her safe. I'm seeing when Jabba just randomly drops one of his dancers into the Rancor pit. Yeah, luckily that doesn't happen to her. She's got her memory wiped. And Dengar is also a bounty hunter, but wants a big payday, so he can just quit and go off and be with his fiancée. So they all end up teaming together. In the end, it pretty much all works out. Neela discovers she is part of a rival family wanting the planet Kuat shipyards. And there's a guy called Kuat. He calls himself Kuat of Kuat. I have no idea why he does that. Reminds me of Brienne of Tarth from Song of Ice and Fire. Like, Tarth is her island she's from, and so Brienne of that island. Why not just use her surname? Maybe she doesn't have one. Song of Ice and Fire, a lot of characters didn't. No, she does. Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, Tarth is actually her surname. Lord Selwyn Tarth is her dad, and she's from a place called Tarth. So the Tarths of Tarth. That'd be like if, I don't know, the Lannisters were just called the Castley Rocks. I know lots of my history. There were the Castleys, who were the original kings and then lords, kings of the Westerlands. I suppose they were I'd be like Jamie Castley of Castley. I suppose it's something like that. But yeah, my God, the amount of times it's Quat of Quats. Like, Jesus, why didn't you offer just shorten that down just to Quat? Like, every scene it's that. The same with another character as well. And I was just reading the first name and skipping ahead. So basically, in the end, Neela discovers who she is. That Quat guy tries to blow the shipyards up rather than let the Empire or Rebellion get control of them. Doesn't manage to do it. Boba Fett actually stops him. Doesn't want to be a hero, but does heroic things without meaning to. And he basically delivers a Star Destroyer to the Republic. And it's hinted that as they have got Rebellion, and as they've got his ship, he's, Slave One. We called it Slave One back then. Now they no longer call it Slave One because it makes people think of slavery, which is bad. Well, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, the ship is just called Slave One because it's to do with the history of Boba's family, former slaves. So I don't know why Disney suddenly called it Boba Fett Starfire, but no real fans will ever do that. It's Boba Fett's ship, Slave One. So yeah, the Rebellion have it. Boba's basically planning to get it back. He seems like he's just going to trade something valuable to get it back. And of course, in the later EU books, he's got Slave One again, so everything works out well there. So Neela, I won't see if I find out her true name, may take over Quat Drive Yards and probably have a better relationship with whoever wins the war, which is of course the Rebellion, the New Republic. And Dengar goes back to his betrothed, makes no money from the bounty hunter deal he did, but it turns out there were bets going on his survival, especially when it turns out he was teaming up with Boba Fett, which his fiancée bet heavily on. Basically plunged herself into more debt, and she won because Dengar survived, so they've got more money they could ever imagine, and quite a good story. So the next book I'm reading after this, actually, I'm currently rereading The Hunger Games 1, is Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I figure it'll be like an epilogue to this, and I want to. It mentions it's like when Darth Vader's on the bridge, he's picked the bounty hunters to go find the Millennium Falcon. So it's probably like that scene, and then flashing back to before. So maybe what bounty hunters Dengar was doing, but I kind of hope we do get after as well. But I don't know. I've not even looked in the first chapter of that one yet. So overall, it's a happy ending for all the characters. It's a decent story. But the book's in such horrendous condition, I just wasn't bothered about getting perfect ones. I figured good reads. These have got like 3.6-ish ratings, so I figured I'd just give it a try. I mean, that's it's just a general. I mean, I gave 3 to this one and 4 to the next 2. I just thought Mandalorian Armor, it's just so too big. I mean, how many pages was this? Past all the next bit. Yeah, 387. 320, 337. So I don't know why book one was so massive. I'm not bothered about keeping them. They're in pretty poor condition. But they're definitely worth a good read. And again, if this is the first use of Boba Fett's Home the Sarlacc, it was pretty well done. I liked it. And of course, Boba Fett wasn't magically alive after these two people had to help him, and that's how he ends up with them. So and they don't have a particular friendship during their time together either. They just kind of all working together because they have to. Fetch doesn't show much gratitude, but he does. He just doesn't really admit it to people. So, yeah, good story. And I kind of hope this was the first use of Boba Fett escaping Sarlacc, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the comics or something before 1998. So, yeah, overall good story. It's fun seeing the characters. Just problem is when it's jumping back to the after A New Hope, when she's also having meetings with Palpatine and Vader, and like Vader's basically just force strangling him for fun. You just think, it doesn't matter what Sheezel's plans do, he's dead soon enough, 3 years later after New Hope, where he gets, 3.5 years, because between Empire and Return of the Jedi, he's like, gets himself killed by Darth Vader, because he ignores Darth Vader's orders. So you don't really care too much about Sheezel's schemes, as you know, it's not going to really go anywhere. Although it's interesting seeing the Bounty Hunters Guild destroyed, but I think I'd have heard more if we knew about it in the first place. I mean, I had no idea there was a Bounty Hunters Guild to begin with, full stop. So, again, maybe there's more. I know there are a lot of Dark Horse comics, now Marvel comics back then. So, maybe it all was all more public knowledge then. I don't know. But, yeah, not overall, decent book trilogy. Once I sell it on eBay, for anyone who's watching this to contact me, leave a comment or something, and I'll cut you a deal, like basically sell them to you for dirt cheap. If book 1 can't sell on its own, book 2 and 3 probably won't. So the plan on their own either. So the plan is to bundle them all together as a trilogy. It's how I'm hoping that Fate of the Jedi, which is in a couple of minutes, will eventually sell. Keep having to drop the price on eBay, but that's great. It's not great value. Yeah, you're getting 5 of them in hardback, 4 paperback, even if 2 are just library books. That those are much better off being sold together one by one. They'll sell, but not for as much as they're worth together. Whereas these won't sell one by one, but together, maybe I'll get about £5. That's more than £1 per book. Great. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the series. I know it's been a while since my last YouTube vid. I was actually doing another book actually. Just Nothing by Colin Dan, but it really sucked. It was not a good book. I skimmed so much just to get to the key moments. So I'm not even bothering with a video review for that one. Otherwise, that would be my next one. So, yeah, I'll probably do a book review for Hunger Games 1. I've been doing so much Warhammer lately. You can sort of see in the background there. No, you can't, because the shelf visible at the very bottom, in like more clear view, is the Downsham books, Lord of the Rings, etc. Below it's my 30k era ones. Let's get the camera in place. Yeah, gold ones on the left, and the others are 30k. Below that is 40k. It's in somewhat of an order. So, yeah, I just generally don't review the Warhammer books. Obviously, love them, but there's such lore to it. And I know I'd be messing up my reviews and doing a job that would annoy a lot of the hardcore fans. They saw it, so I'm not bothering with them. Maybe general summaries eventually, but I watched a couple of Warhammer vids, and goddamn, those guys know what they're talking about. So, yeah, at the minute it's basically Star Wars Warhammer, Star Wars Warhammer, Star Wars something else, Hunger Games, following that general pattern, because I've got so much. I've been buying a load late, bit of a bender, but I've watched how those books prices go up. You don't get them in time, so I don't regret it. But yeah, maybe eventually you'll see Warhammer reviews on this site, but probably not. But yeah, I'm continuing with the Star Wars one. So yeah, next review will be when I eventually have the Hunger Games one read, which 20 isn't going to be long. I started it on Saturday. It's work only, like read on shift and at breaks, etc. It's my wife's one. You can actually see the blue and orange in the corner. That's Hunger Games 2 and 3. I'm kind of leaving that work so it doesn't get too damaged, whereas like this fit nicely in my jeans pocket. It didn't matter. So yeah, that'll be the next one. So probably for next Sunday, time to get that done on Father's Day, my day. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the review. So again, recommended. It's a decent read, but it's far from the best that we'd ever see. As long as it's the Crystal Star, if it's true that Crystal Star is as bad as they say, that's good. Or let's go for a book that actually I have read, which I'd hated. Well, I've got to go with Dark Disciple, obviously from the new trilogy, just how bad the ending was, with basically how, let's say, easily Count Dooku gets away. What else is... Oh, Cameron Travis and Republic Commando books, yes. Books 1 and 2, great, and then she starts with this anti-Jedi bullshit. Like, I don't know what the hell her problem was. Obi-Wan, he's such an attention seeker. I don't know why Cody worships him. Like, stuff like that. Like, what the hell was she doing? Or her Legacy of Force, the massive disrespect to characters like Mara Jade, and Palayan, but just how Mando and Boba Fett and Cal Skarsgård are worshipping shows with, like, all of those. I'm glad she didn't do Fate Jedi, but that's another topic. So, yeah, this is better than the likes of Republic Commando 3 and 4 and Imperial Commando. Better than Legacy Force, but everything is. So, yeah, that's a good thing. So, yeah. It's a good story if you like anti-heroes, you don't want a story about the Jedi, like how I would recommend the X-Wing books as a perfect starting point if you don't really care about the Jedi or the Force, you just want pilots, Top Gun in space, go for that. And yeah, if you want to talk about the side characters aren't really that important to the larger universe, definitely recommended. But yeah, they do a good job of filling little blanks, things that have been set up in the show. Don't want to shows then, in the films. But yeah, good read, but it's pretty skippable. But that's it. So 15 minutes, I'll finally end the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you for the next one.